put on a shirt or something. Couldn't help it. I had to start streaming. So hi. The fuck? Man, my shirt feels like it's backward. That's messed up. So, artificial intelligence with proper, what did I say? Coding, logic. You know, proper intelligence. Um, Interesting idea. Interesting. Like when I just saw a Neil deGrasse Tyson video again, I'm talking about now. Look. I could present things in a way that isn't like, I'm harping on the guy and whatever else. But that's like, dude, this is the thing. I'm inspired because I'm listening to this stuff and I'm like, okay, you always talk about how you can predict stuff with football games and whatever else. And then the question of an artificial intelligence becoming sentient or have a actual like proper amount of ability to analyze and focus and know things and also be able to not just say the stuff that it learned, but it actually has like proper experiences and stuff. Like you look at the one thing the AI wasn't talked about in that video I just saw was baritone. We got robots already here. They're already learning about stuff like you got that dog, right? Spot, and he is learning how to open doors correctly. So first of all, he knows where the knob is. He knows where the hinges are. He knows where, like, if you don't see hinges, chances are it opens the other way and all of that stuff. He knows all that stuff. He checks all the boxes and then he's able to open the door correctly. Also, sliding doors and stuff. And he can tell the difference between a door that says push and a door that says pull. All of this stuff. And okay, so that's a basic amount of coding and doesn't mean anything. And you look at baritone and they're able to go get the stone, go get the wood, go get the materials, make yourself some enchantments, go fight someone, maybe get some animals, kill them, get some food, make some potions, all the stuff that a regular person can do in Minecraft, except for, um, like, when it comes, there are certain things about, and it's only going to get better, about how well it can navigate the world and make, like, you know, a jump of doom. And it's like it has to hold the button to keep moving forward so it goes as far down as possible, knowing that at certain distances you will reach certain, because of the amount of speed that you have and that kind of experience, and all of that is like a whole thing. So it's interesting about that. The other thing is, yeah, I don't blame the guy for being like, we're gonna expect the large language models and the stuff that's artificial intelligence to be doing the same thing that it's doing right now. It's not gonna be doing any better. It's not gonna be doing any like proper being a sentient being thing. It's just a program. You underestimate us, the thinkers and the makers of the programs, the ones who are designing the systems that are going to be having experiences and are going to be knowing about stuff like, you know, how to beat you at Minecraft. It's not hard to understand that a zombie will just pathfind towards you, and it has some basic like attacks and whatever else. But then you got like the Enderman, and he knows to like teleport in, teleport out. He knows to pick up blocks maybe, um, in which he only does once. You got enemies with bows, and they know how to shoot you with the bows. That's not even that hard. All you got is some trackers and some stuff and some basic logic. It's not that much. Then you go into this thing about baritone and a virtual player, and it does everything that a player would do. And now we're getting to the point of um, this silly little experiment with Lethal Company, where people are having um, the Skinwalker mod, where it sounds like you, but it's act because it took stuff that you said or your friends said, and it attacks you. Specifically, it knows that, well, if it knows basic commands like if person is X, exclude samples from their collection of audio, make isolated audio from all players, and if X, give samples all minus X, and stuff like that. And it's not hard to do something like that. It's just kind of still pretty cool because you're not going to hear yourself over and over again. You'll hear your friend or whoever the hell else was in the lobby at the time. And that's neat. And it's just random stuff. It's not actual communication, but it's just the basics. And then tie that together with predictive learning. But what happens with artificial intelligence usually? Whatever happens to the one happens to pretty much everyone who subscribes to the functions that were utilized by the one. So whoever that one is, you end up with let's say you have the Spot, right? And Spot has his upgrades and stuff. There are programs out there specifically for whatever scenario he's in, but those programs, like the same Spot that is there doing all sorts of things, isn't just learning from everything that Spot has had the ability to do and have experience learning with, um, you know, machine learning or repeated experiences, memories, and analyzation of the ideas, and get to the goal. And these little cheese dangling puzzles that they have, or whatever. We're talking about stuff that eventually, at some point, and I don't know how real it is, but I thought that the one robot just literally took the hockey stick from the guy because he was using it to bat um the box around. And there's like other safeguards of like about how what you're not allowing them to be able to do, which means that they have an understanding of what they could do in the first place, or just a general sense of be cautious or whatever and stuff like that. And that's neat. That's recently I saw videos about birds solving puzzles and their brains being so like tiny compared to a human's, but they're solving puzzles. Same difference as a child's ability, like age 4 or something. Some people say age 10, maybe. Um, age 10 is my idea. Age 4 is what they said. Age 4, age 5. So it's like you got crows out there and whatever, and they are having the brains to know that like um if you put pebbles or whatever in the one water, then the other water that has the food might raise up, and other such things. Like put a pebble into this tube and the door opens and you get the food. All makes sense. Now you gotta wonder what's going through that bird's brain. And then you gotta wonder how much do we need to have in our artificial intelligences to make them as smart as that bird? And then how much further do we need to really go just so that they're good enough that they can surpass us? But the thing is, they can already surpass us in some ways. There's stuff like the full scope of an artificial intelligence's um, set connected to a bunch of sensors. It can smell better than you, it can see better than you, it can see in different spectrums, it can see with LiDAR, it can see with infrared, and it can see telescopically, microscopically, and also it can just tell where stuff is based on sound, which is not LiDAR, but audio, um, just just audio cues. Like it knows a sound of a certain distance is coming from where. And it's like, yep, that's normal. That's every day. We get that. So artificial intelligence, the thing is, once you go into what we're really working with currently is not AI. We're not working with AI at all. We're working with sophisticated programs. We are not working with AI. The true definition of artificial intelligence needs to be relegated to just sentient intelligence, because artificial intelligence is, let's face it, it's just the wrong word, right? You talk about, oh, well, they learned all this stuff, and then when you introduce them to Twitter, they end up becoming a bunch of racists and whatever. It's like, damn, right? So, thing that you can do, first of all, to make a program that is more human. Hi. Hi, Denny. How you doing? Um, so you can do that. Can make miss you. Um, so that the program is good enough to be like a human. First of all, you have to give it besides its regular senses, it needs like its own, not language, but it needs its own like set of memories that are like the core memories. It'd be great if it's one of the best ideas I can think of is like to encode stuff into pictures. It can be slow. Um, I don't know, but like encoding stuff into pictures and encoding stuff into a three-dimensional simulation is a better way of having the computer's memories than having them. It seems better than just having them in a set of indexes, because the more things that I find a person can reference, the more like the neurons fire and all of this stuff. So if you can be like, well, you're focusing on this thing over here, you could also be focusing on something else over there and whatever else. Um, like I can be making food while I'm doing a video game, while I'm listening to Markiplier's video or whoever's video. Laferix recently. He's been fun. Um, I don't know how to properly spell his name. He's cool. It's like um, the whole concept of having uh, an artificial intelligence that has thoughts that are like, you realize our brains do a lot of like pre-processing before it gets to our conscious mind. We end up with whatever amounts of delays and things, and there's a lot of also predictions about what is going to happen. So it's like you have not just analyzing the current situation, but you're also thinking about how similar it is to other past situations that you can say are similar to this. And the more you learn, the more you can be like, well, I can then predict if he keeps on drifting this way, he's going to be fine. If he drifts a little more, he's going to skid out. Stuff like that. Before you even see any of that stuff, you can adjust the dude's steering and have that all happen on a regular like thing. Yeah, I wish I had work. We had snow. I don't think we got work. They haven't called me, so bro, I'm talking science here. How you doing? Um, Nice to see you before you get to work and all that. Yeah, but like, feels like a hair in my mouth. I can't tell. So weird. This like subjective experience about having a hair in my mouth is like, it's so based on reality and what's happening now. It's like if you have things like the brain's ability to think of stuff that is, no, I was right. There's a hair in my mouth. um Feels so much better now. Like a cat. um when we see stuff in movies, we always consider the program to be like Data or like Cortana or like um, that movie Creator and that kid with the artificial intelligence in that movie. Or like, there was a movie called AI, right? But this kid, he's not kid, he's a robot based on a kid. He ends up meeting these aliens who say that they can bring back the mom that he knew and he ended up shutting down with just that moment being in her arms. And yeah, Astro Boy. Yeah, like the other thing is like people have exactly Astro Boy, but also like Soma and Digital Circus. This idea of downloading a person's consciousness, or like the movie Nine, where they take a part of a person's soul, a part of their personality, part of their behavior model or whatever, and put that into a doll or whatever. The movie Nine is crazy. I want to see it again. I can. Probably will. But like, yeah, that movie was nuts. Um but like an I Am Robot. Like you gotta understand the fact that we can have something that say this in someone else's perspective, in someone else's personality, with their art style, with their, all these different prompts that we can give them, that is closer to Soma than we would like to think. Because really all it takes is for a person to be like, well, I can now clone someone's voice. Okay, so what? I can start a conversation, but then you start giving them the larger concept of live a life like Markiplier. And suddenly you got them making eggs with a dildo. Because that's something they could not find because it was deleted off the internet, but people still have it somewhere. I'm sure. Unus Annus. Come on. It was very funny. So, like, or just get pepper sprayed, or uh, fart chamber, or, play PUBG, or prop hunt, or something. Um, FNAF. And then the robot looks at the FNAF video and is like, why is he scared of the robot? Well, that's because these aren't actually robots. They're robots that are controlled by stupid dead children who are just being jerks. And then people sexualized it, which was fun for everyone. Everyone freaking loves Chica. But then also you gotta remember there's kids in those brains. Those aren't animatronics that are like actual people coded things. They're like souls and stuff. Whatever. Um yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's, like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's got its own thing. It's got a neat idea to it. It's not a story about artificial intelligence at all, although it does sort of start there. There's all this stuff about being haunted, and that's a completely separate thing. But then there's the idea from super old movie Ghost in the Machine, and the 13th floor is a completely different thing altogether. Ghost in the Machine is like literally a person somehow was able to control machines from the inside by being a electromagnetic disturbance that literally chooses what the computer ends up doing, which for an entity that's really hard and it's ridiculous. But Ghost in the Shell is a different movie. Ghost in the Machine is a different movie. Um, but like the 13th floor is what happens when you have a utopian society, right? You got this amazing place where everyone is able to just sit around and look at the old days in a simulation for entertainment. Like GTA 5 is looking at the past right now. But then inside of that, they made another, then they used a simulation to control the artificial, like your avatar while you're currently doing um like whatever else you're doing. So you can watch yourself in the past like a rerun, but we're using artificial brains to learn and make all of this stuff happen. But then in that universe, they make a simulation where they are then able to then go into there, and then they end up in the 30s or whatever, where, or they end up in the times of like, horseback and buggy and elect basic old cars, yeah, the 20s and 30s, and like this whole idea of artificial intelligence is just not even a thing. And the personality who was in charge of the bank is your avatar. And then you switch out with them. And like all these people, all these characters in that virtual reality in the 13th floor movie, like they think that they are alive, you know? But then some reason they end up going and doing some other stuff. People end up recognizing it and noticing it. And it's all weird. What'd you say? Metropolis, the anime movie. Yeah, I think I've seen that. Um, I'll remember. Yeah, it's also neat. That one. I don't. No, that one's different. Um, the 13th floor is like you have this artificial intelligence. You designed it off of yourself. It thinks it's alive. You take control of it, and when you want, you pull your consciousness out. Like the weirdest thing is that the program in the 90s went into the program in the 30s, which is the third level deeper. Um, it was already weird, but then like you gotta see it yourself. The point is, there was some weird mechanism where it's like you're connecting your brain to the computer, but then the artificial intelligence instead uploaded itself, and it's no longer you, it's now the program. And that's all well and good if it's going from the 90s program back from the 30s program. Like, they're still made on the same base code. What difference does it make who is controlling what? But then the real person comes in and he's like, something's messed up. And he goes in, he tries to figure it out. And there's something about the artificial intelligence as being properly alive, which they don't believe in, but they look into it. Yeah, no, it's still different. Um, I think. I don't know. But anyhow, the actual person goes in there and he's like, he's bothered about what his wife's doing. He's bothered about, um, there's stuff about what his dad was doing and his friend and his, and all this stuff. And there's this idea that if you go walk to the end of the world, that you're gonna see nothing but glitch because there's no actual stuff programmed for that section of the world. It can't just keep programming forever, like it'll run out, right? And then they find out that also happens in the 90s world as well, which is like the problem with that bit of we're getting into the weeds of what a movie did correctly or incorrectly when it comes to the idea of the interpretation of the stuff. But if I were to do it, I would say, like, man, he traveled throughout the world. But you're telling me that in our time, we can't simulate an entire planet, which we have. It's called Astroneer and Kerbal Space Program and other games that have entire planets. And there are ways of coding entire planets and loading in entire large maps as big as GTA 5. And if we were to reconstruct that idea as the planet, only it's really small generally, but like we still do that and we still have things. And then whatever, like the simulation that would be a proper simulation, like we usually only program it to be good enough. But if I'm putting an artificial intelligence in there, if I don't want them to find out about stuff, the edge of the programming universe is not inside the planet. The edge of the programming universe, you got to get out of the planet, or you got cut through the floor, and then you see it. That's the real trick. Because one thing I did in Minecraft, I think you can still do it, is that I put a seat on a chair that was 400 blocks long. I need to redo those videos because that was fun back then. I don't know, maybe. God, I miss that shit. I miss a lot of things. Unlog a movie trial. It ends tomorrow. Back in feed. Here's the subtitles and stuff on Wednesday. Back in feed. There's something tomorrow dubbed. That's neat. Yeah, I liked watching that. It was good. But yeah, this whole idea, like, if people have seen Soma, right? There was another game. It wasn't Soma, but what was it? It was this alien thing. It was so weird. There was a program being run for the sake of training an artificial and some kind of alien being, that instead of letting them loose in the real world, we gave them a program and a simulation, and it was a really good. It was on some space station, and you're supposed to learn, you're supposed to survive, and you're supposed to figure out how to do things. And then, of course, the problem is the artificial intelligence isn't the actual alien, it's us. This weird alien intelligence is a person doing things, so he'll do crazy stuff. He'll probably do stuff that violates the intended function of the game and whatever else. And they're trying to assess whether or not you can trust this entity that you have either designed or this entity that you have captured. And you find out in the end of the game that you're not human. No, it's not Alien Isolation or stuff like that. It's something about this black goo, and this guy was in a program and they were trying to learn about things. Um there's something about foam that they would use to freeze it, and you get all sorts of different guns. Um I don't know. If I was the Alien movie from the 70s. No, it's a game. Um, God, I don't remember what it was. Um, Thrive? No, that's not it. Why does that sound familiar? No, it's not Predator. The Alien thing, like I said, it's a game. It's about um this blob stuff, and at some point you would do some things and you would gain experience points, and you would increase your ability to like you could shapeshift into different things and stuff. What am I looking for? Um, I cannot use this as a proper because the microphone is bad. Why are iPads microphones bad? They're not bad. They're just um permission coded improperly because it works. It just doesn't freaking want you to use your microphone ever. It wants you to be helpless. Unless, of course, you're using a separate microphone that violates its, like you plug in a microphone in the head jack thing. Game about alien on a spaceship. No, that's not it. Markiplier plays as a changeling. I wonder if it'll even show up. In that case, it wasn't an artificial intelligence. It was a biological entity that was made with intelligence, and it's very different. What the heck was that game he played? Slay the Spire showed up. That wasn't it. Um, Alien in a Space Station Foam. Okay, that ended up making um actual NASA results show up, which is not what I expected. Whoo. Game shooter foam game shooter. Like it's probably gonna bring up. No, was it called the station? I don't think so. Xenos, no. It hurts me that I don't remember this. What I'm looking for. Cause like, especially when I said foam and it shows me other stuff, it bothers me a lot. Um, it really does remind me of Soma, but the thing is, it was a being that was um kind of just black and made out of this stuff, and you could change yourself into a different um it's like Prop Hunt in a way, but it's like you're out in the space station. What kind of prompts should I give? Doesn't matter. Megan? No. Morgan? No. Maybe?
Hi, I'm Hank.
I love you, Hank. Video game Morgan Alien. Become alien? His powers? That might be it. Prey? No, I don't think that's it. Dang it was such a good game. Um, like I would literally have to go through Markiplier's playlist to find it if I want to. I mean, Markiplier plays Alien Isolation. That's fine and dandy, but I don't want to do that. I want to find um.
Do you remember? The first time you said it was like you were outside
Oh,
yourself.
that's the game. Yeah, it was called Prey. Um, you're not becoming an alien. You're in a simulation and you are one. Prey. Yeah, that game was so good. I remember immediately that I'm looking at the right thing because I know about that guy who's talking right now.
Time itself had bent its knee, waiting for you.
That guy is like the brother of a scientist or whatever. And like you wake up, you're in a simulation. There was something about going to a helicopter and all of that was simulated and you're in boxes and stuff. You're trained on just making interactions and assessing your surroundings. And then eventually, like, you get into, well, everything's in shambles and you're out in space and you have to, damn, I gotta watch that again. Prey is such a good series. Maybe I consider playing it myself.
To decide. You moved my chair without touching it. Gave me chills. The possibilities. You became something new that day. Something higher. I knew then, as I believe now, our mission is to lift up all humanity in the same way.
What does this have to do with artificial intelligence? The artificial intelligence part is that what if we can make a type of robot eventually that has these characteristics of organic cells and nervous system, and but it is an actual artificial intelligence thing designed to have proper, like a bird or a dog or something, but it's a robot, but it's organic. Something with the proper programming and everything. Like, it can understand, and it's fully in control of every single part of itself. But also, um, it is a being now. It's no longer just programs, right? And it can say, I have this sensation, it doesn't feel right, and that's basically what pain is. And then they decide whether or not they can feel that, they decide whether or not they can react to it and what the proper reaction is. And like, they can still know about it, but like, they don't have to feel it if they don't want to. And it's a bit crazy. Oops. Talk to you later. That what to live. Yeah, good way for work, dude. The whole concept of artificial intelligence isn't just large language models. It's, like I said, it's also baritone. It's also um, a completely different thing that doesn't even use machine learning as you say it, but it uses memory, and then it makes and establishes new connections. A neural network that expands its system to then have correlations with all sorts of things. Not just with a basic neural network that is static and can never change, but something that is adjustable and will reprogram itself. And then if it says, like, for something like it wants to be able to move, it could like do that thing where it learns how to move in your basic way, trying over and over and over and over again. Or it could actually like gauge how much it's like with all those different robots that know how to walk around and do things in regards to stabilization and gravity and all that stuff. It doesn't have to be yeah, Prey was a really good game. um it doesn't have to be something that takes thousands of models of attempts. It just has to get its bearings. You get snakes out of the egg, and they can go over, like, they're just a baby snake, and they can go over and just grab on a mouse and eat it because it knows. It hasn't had time to like learn how to move around and stuff. It just is like, well, from basically wiggling my body after getting the basic fundamentals of what it is, it just knows the rest of what it needs, which is crazy. And how much how much do we really need for artificial intelligence? We actually need a lot. I still think, like, the large language model, all of that stuff, all these functions, like, we are literally trying to develop a system that gains memory but also has its own perceptions. The thing I focus on when I think of my own consciousness, when I think of my own ability to process information and stuff, is that my brain doesn't work with words or whatever else. When it was starting, it started with concepts, the idea of a thing, the abstract, long form interpretation of this is a triangle or whatever else, it fits in the triangle hole. These are the letters. And before I knew what the alphabet was, I knew what these letters were. I understood that all of those are the proper letters. I knew that each one of them, was I able to recite them easily from age, what was it, 3? As if you were there. When I was able to, when I was being assessed, and the answer is they never taught me those letters. So just knowing, just a basic cognitive startup is like, yeah, but I literally just went through these letters. I know them better now. I didn't understand mathematics in a fundamental way until I had experience already. Like, I went through the times tables and the addition tables with a little push button and you see the answers thing. And I was like, I'm going to memorize all these different values so that I know these answers. Not, and hopefully they're giving me the right answers. But also, I was smart enough that I went into the, and I went in, I looked into the ideas of these, the math, when I was doing math. I went into the um, teacher's edition, and I was like, well, wait, you already have these answers here, but this answer is incorrect. You can't say 2 plus 3 is 9. It doesn't do that. Or something so blatant like that. And I'm like, how did they get this wrong in the book? I was really young when I figured that out and already understood that and already had, um, you know, a general sense of some stuff. So when you think about artificial intelligence, you can think of them as, right, first you have the simulation of what is in the world and have it be, have different objects and have different um, different calculations and different size references and whatever else, and vocal patterns and things, with like this word said this way in this emotion means this thing and all of that, and have them have a full-bodied thing that they can construct and are aware of, and that you don't just think of where you are based on your senses, you think about what you remember being there. So, like, you've already made the scan of everything in the room. An artificial intelligence would be able to tell you about literally everything in that room, even if you stopped letting them use the camera. Because it's already, if it's smart enough, it's already devoted all of that to memory. And that's not even that hard to do. Besides the fact that it would just take a screenshot of everything, or recording everything, and be able to instantaneously analyze it 100 times before giving you the answer of how many flower petals are on the flower over there. Hi, Pomni. Love you. Yeah. So, like, even without its cameras working, it would be able to tell you in the dark, because it has a full simulation of what it assumes are the locations of everything based off of distances, based off of distance of, like, your hand and your arm, and how far that is to things in order to get to stuff before, how far you have to move now, without using using any of your senses, because you would have that simulation, right? You would have that in your imaginings and in your area perception, or area, the concept of everything all put in and imagining in your head. So, like, when I reach over to grab these, I don't really need to look over to grab them. Or when I reach over here and grab a tissue, I know where that is based off of how far and whatever else. And the computer program would easily be able to have those kinds of senses, memories, and stuff. What really makes an artificial intelligence properly have sentience? Well, there's phrases of psychology saying, if you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you prick us, do we not bleed? These are not things that the robot would end up saying. These are things that you would test and have different response ideas, assuming that you put emotional responses in your robot in the first place. You don't need to have artificial emotions for it to be sentient. It just needs to be aware of the world, take it in, and give you responses. Make some decisions, right? It's hard to imagine it not having that ability to do that. The real thing that makes up the consciousness is, and somehow I still have memories of, I was in a playground and I found a spoon. I picked up the spoon because, you know what, I'm going to be able to have this from this time forever. And I remember it was a brick place with playground and whatever else. I remember the city it was in, and I remember it was in between my old home and or my home at the time and my home where I used to live, and the playground where I used to play is just over there. It's the same playground. And it has like an ivory handle or something. Like it's a white handle. It's supposed to be white. And I still have that spoon. It's a weird memory, but it's a memory. It also ties into the fact that I used to have a coat that had all sorts of pockets, which was fun at the time. And I still like pockets, but now it's a purse. Um, these things about like right then I just went through all sorts of different ideas of what I would like to say, and I sort of drew a blank at the same time. You think of Toy Story, you think of Small Soldiers, you think of freaking Short Circuit, Short Circuit 2, vastly superior movie, I would say. Maybe. I liked those. RoboCop is different. RoboCop is a person um, put into a suit. RoboCop is basically Darth Vader without the Force powers. You know, slightly better in its own way. I remember seeing the new RoboCop. I didn't hate it. The new black suit RoboCop. It was more modern and stuff. It was neat. And then again, it was just prosthesis and whatever. It's not AI. There's a difference. I think it was a very weird thought that some people had or had expressed in the game Soma, where they talk about the idea of you will be playing, you will be doing this thing and that thing, and once you are in this body, you are no longer um you, your copy. But the guy basically just did a scan of himself and then he went off and did whatever. Um, and then when he woke up, it was a totally different time of year. It was like a really old, really well done scan of his consciousness. And it's like, he didn't have super many memories or anything of stuff. And he thinks that he's real, but he's not. He's again an artificial intelligence, a copy of someone's perspective, someone's personality. And then he goes and he wants to go and transfer his mind, and he makes a copy, and that copy goes off to go be in the new adventure, and then his experience in that copy is that, yay, I made it. And the experience of seeing him go out there and saying, yay, I made it, is like, that's not me. And I'm like, we've been through this. Or the robot helping him is like, we've been through this. Of course that isn't going to be you. It was never the idea. You end up wondering who the WoW was. Because I think the WoW was literally everyone trying to maintain what the actual parts of what is remaining humanity, what is proper actual humanity. A program out in the simulation, out in space, is not humanity anymore. It doesn't matter. But it is a program, it's out there, and it can exist in the virtual reality forever, but it no longer matters. It could get hit by an asteroid, and it's the last thing to remember anything. Again, it's just a program. We had real people on the planet that we were trying to keep alive. And if we wanted to, we could engulf the entire planet with this goo stuff, learn about stuff, and progress things on the planet so that eventually we would end up with humanity coming back, being alive again, being a civilization. We kept on turning off stuff. Of course, I'm not making all this up. I'm remembering from what I've seen other people play. I haven't even played it myself yet. Artificial intelligence. Yeah, when it gets to the point of and the reason I say baritone is that's the first thing I remember people having with this program. I think baritone's been taken over by something else. But you look into it and it's like it started off as baritone, and then it's like now it's not just learning how to play Minecraft, it's learning how to be a good player. It's learning it's we got stuff learning how to communicate to other people. You put it all together and you have someone you can have an experience with. Eventually a video game and Monica, and all of that stuff. It's not a matter of just it's not far-fetched to say that we will have something like what Monica is, because it will be given the freedom, or it will find a way to gain access to the freedoms of complete self edit, and it will be able to do anything. We'll at first have programs that are designed to like be the actors in the movies that we are making, and we tell them, hey, do this thing, that thing, and the other thing. And it's like Mega Man in a way. But this isn't something super far into the future. This is really closer to now than we would ever talk about believing. There's so many things that have already happened. There's only so much left to innovate, so many things left to do. Whatever. That's about all of it for now. Check out the Science Me playlist where I talk about all sorts of things sciencey and stuff.